Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live interview with a passionate member of our WHIP community. Today, I'm joined by T Rex himself. Roar. It's
Gotcha.
it's Todd Rex.
Hello, everybody.
Different Rex. It's very exciting to talk to you. Of course, number one most exciting thing, first place freestyle, single whip freestyle. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I actually was probably more stunned than anybody else. I had a really rough time getting that video together. I have a few few close whip friends who know who they are who helped me get through it because I had a lot of stuff happen to me recently that my grandfather of
I'm sorry
106 passed away from COVID.
for your loss.
That's all right. I think he was kind of ready to go anyway, but yeah, he's a super cool guy, super awesome. But anyway, so I was dealing with that, and then the videos were coming up. So I was going out every day for 2 hours, just videotaping. I had a timer, and I just kept messing up and getting angry and not having fun.
Oh
And
no.
like, yeah, it was miserable, and I was starting to doubt myself, and just you know how it gets.
Oh yeah.
When that ball starts rolling. But I have a lot of good friends that sort of like, hey, happens to everyone, just hang in there, keep going. And luckily I had a couple videos they saved, and I'm still surprised that I took first in the one-handed, but I'm very thankful.
Well, I mean, your frustration does not show in the video. It looks like you're having an absolute blast. And
Well, that's good.
I mean, just the energy you put, I mean, all of your videos, but I mean, just the energy you put into it every time is just infectious.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's inspirational.
And I feed off of a lot of other people.
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
I feed
please.
off a lot of other people as well. Like as this has been growing over the years, more people are coming in, and everyone is just growing exponentially. Like everyone is so much better, so much faster. Like it's frightening. Like the first couple shows were like, okay, this is cool. And then I think Leo came in, and he was pretty good. And now just like all these, I'm just amazed at how many people have picked this up and really have just been running with
Right.
it. It's amazing. Yeah, it's truly amazing.
Is there, I mean, you mentioned Leo previously, but is there any people from this year that you were particularly impressed by,
Oh,
especially with our videos? Get to see all of
uh,
them.
yeah, and I'm horrible with remembering names, but I always love
Oh,
Justin's stuff.
yeah.
I
His
love
weirdness video was
oh
great.
my gosh, like he's one of my favorites. He always makes me laugh and smile and be like, this is why I do it. It's not for competition, it's to have fun. And he's always having
Yeah.
fun. So I really appreciate that. And Tori is just incredible too. Like the way his forms are, and we've sort of, I think I started hanging out with him or getting to know him a few years back when he took, I think, third place in the two-handed. And I wanted to look at the whips that he was using, and they were Insta whips. He took third place.
Really?
Yes, with Insta whips.
What?
I'm still blown away by that. I just looked at him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like,
And now he makes some incredible whips
he
himself.
does. He really does. He makes some very beautiful stuff. Who else? And there was a lot I was very just surprised by.
Of course, Ian took third place in.
Ian, yes, actually, Ian is awesome. He's got some energy. That kid's got some energy, man.
Yeah, he does.
I love it. You can tell he loves it.
Yeah, he's got a future. That's for sure. I can't wait to
Yes,
see.
he does.
I mean, really, him and Justin both. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
all three of you guys are just blow me away. It's an honor to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, honorable mentions that Adam posted were Danny Shaw, Tori,
Of
and
course,
Bill Barr.
yes. Dan. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Bill Barnes, sorry.
Bill Barnes, yes.
Yep.
Super amazing guy. I've seen him now and again. I don't see a lot of his videos, but every time I do, I'm like, dang. I'm
Right.
just like, shoot, man, this guy's good. And then of course, Danny Shaw, who I got to chat with for the first time, kind of one-on-one for a little bit the other day. And I haven't seen all your interviews. I'm actually going to sit down and sit through all of them.
All right.
I haven't had a lot of time.
Don't feel obligated, but yeah, there's a very diverse group of people. If you can check them out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But Danny is like, uh, he's so young too. He's like been doing for like 5 years, and he's
Yeah.
already like, he's just like, I don't even know why I can do this. I don't get it. I don't know why he can do it so well. But and he's such a nice guy. Like
He really
there's
is.
something to be said about in general, this small little whip community, which is growing.
Yep.
There, I really can't think of anyone that I'm like, what a jerk. Like everybody is just like, we all click very, very easily, very
Yeah.
well, and maybe it's just because we're all in our own, I mean, just whip cracking alone is such a unique, weird thing that alone makes you go, hey, you're like me.
Sure.
Like, so I don't know. I
I
find
think a
that
lot
kind
of
of
it
cool.
also, we spend so much time alone
Mm.
practicing our own things. And then when we get together, we have that common thing. But it's not always, doesn't always hold true. I don't know if you saw my interview with Dakota. I
I
think
did
it was
not.
Dakota.
Yeah, have
Or
not
maybe
seen that
maybe
one
it
yet.
was Leah. Anyways, that we were talking about magicians have a
Oh,
similar groups and stuff,
yeah,
and they're not always the most cordial. I mean,
yeah.
I've been around some amazing, friendly magicians. Don't get me wrong. If you guys are magicians, I love you too. But I have had negative experiences with magician clubs, magic clubs. So I don't
I
know.
have to agree with you, and I know a few people that work for the castle and are wonderful people, but even they'll tell you magicians in general, they can be very sketchy.
Well, I think part
To
of
put it
it's the nature of
nicely,
secrets, right?
they're lying to you. They
Yeah,
just
that's
lie
their
to your
job.
face all day. So yeah.
And I
But
mean, with whip cracking, it's all about you're hoping they see exactly what you did because it was pretty hard and impressive. It shows the effort, so you're not trying to hide anything at all. So maybe it does have to do with it. Um, I mean, that kind of goes into what I'm doing these interviews for, right? Is to help bring our community together and
I, I
be able to do things like this.
I think that it's a brilliant idea. I'm really glad you're doing it. Like, I didn't realize you were doing this at first, and then all of a sudden I saw, an interview with so and so, and I'm like seeing all my friends pop up, and I'm like, what's going on? What is this? What's happening? Like, yeah. So
Right.
thank you for inviting me to this. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It is my honor. I look forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully
Oh
next
yes.
year, if not sooner.
Uh, Fingers crossed, man. I
Right?
hope so.
If we can get this quarantine over and done behind us, that.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
So I
Yeah.
do want to know more about you, though. I mean, I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on YouTube, and
Mhm.
you guys, if you don't follow him there, go follow him there. All the good stuff.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
so actually, your bio on I think it was Instagram says whip artist and trainer,
Yeah.
stuntman, freelance sculptor.
Mm.
I mean, what don't you do? Um,
Oh, and drumming.
and drummer. Yes. I'll scroll over here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Which is
But I
also
mean,
kind of
yeah.
common. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is oddly common. There seems to be a lot of percussionists or drummers or musicians that mostly drummers. I think I've run into a few, which I'm like, oh, you drum? Yeah, I drum. Oh, okay. And you whip. Wow, that's
I just
pretty
had
interesting.
paracords on the end of my sticks, and we just went to
I,
town. It just,
yeah, exactly. Now, I'm trying to think of uh, how I kind of got started. Well, the first time ever, and I told this story to some of our groups the other day, but I think I was around 12 to 15. I'm not
mhm.
exactly sure, but I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was just like, oh, okay, I have to have a whip now. I have to.
Right.
Dad, get me a whip. So I went to the flea market and bought me this janky black and white cowhide with a rope in the center, thankfully, because of what I used it for was just to wrap over stuff and swing. Because, like
I
in the
mean, that's
movie, you
indie,
swung
right?
across that pit, right? So yeah, I just did that and just learned how to crack it like a couple of different ways. I didn't go crazy on it, but I thought that's it. Okay, I know how to whip now. And then I got a swivel handle one that was a little better. I
Yeah.
practiced a little bit and I'm like, oh, this is cool, but still same thing, 3 cracks. I'm like, this is awesome. So it wasn't until till I moved to LA and all this is pre-internet
Oh yeah.
because like I couldn't look up a whip video and be like, how do you whip? And I just thought I already knew how anyway. But a friend of mine called me. He's like, oh, I found this website, because it was, the internet was pretty new. And he's like, oh, I found this guy, David Morgan. He made the whips for the movie. And I was like, oh man, like, so I saved up some money and I got a 6 foot, and I think I got
6 foot Morgan.
Yeah,
cool.
I got a 6 foot Indy Morgan. It's right here actually.
Yeah, let's see it.
It's still not even broken in. This thing is so stiff. And I believe that David Morgan, I showed it to Dan Borton and Paul Nolan and different people, and they said that the knots are probably done by his kids, and he probably did the plaiting on this. And I think it was right when he was sort of getting out of doing it, It was kind of late in the game. So I was kind of lucky to get one that he actually made. And then I found a cheaper, like 10 foot on Joe Strain's site. And I didn't even know who he was. I just got lucky. I ordered it. And it was beautiful. I loved it. I took that thing everywhere. And then I ordered a Raiders style and that kind of stuff. And still, same thing, 3 different cracks. I didn't, I thought I was awesome. I'm like, yeah, I can do 2, 3 cracks. So I was working on sculpting on a I think it was Super 8. We were doing all the set construction.
Oh, cool.
And set carvings for caves and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was an art director there who also, she worked on Indy 4, and she always had an Indy whip on her belt, like, and every once in a while, like during breaks, she'd take it out and do these really fancy moves, and I'd never seen that. And I was like, whoa, holy crap! Like you whip, that's so great. Can you show me how to do it? She's like, yeah, I learned from this guy, Anthony DeLongis, who was teaching Indy and stuff. And so that was kind of a weird introduction to Anthony's stuff as well.
Yeah.
So she showed me a few things, and then I just went crazy, and I was just like, oh, I can do this, and now all this. And I started looking around for different whip makers, and I happened to talk to Paul Nolan. And Paul Nolan, if you haven't chatted with him yet,
not yet,
chat with him. He's a great guy,
and
we clicked like immediately. Like we just clicked, and I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like I don't even care if I get a whip from him. I just like the guy. And so we were talking about whips and stuff, and he said, hey, if you ever need a maintenance kit for your leather whips, if you need to put the Picard's leather dressing on and this and that, and I was like, what are you talking about? I had no idea. I didn't.
It's like I just crack them till they crumble. What?
I didn't know. So I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. And I said, he's like, okay, well, we're having a maintenance thing at this Indy Summit that they do every year. And he's like, you should also take this class from a guy named Dan Borton. And if you haven't talked to Dan, you should talk to Dan as well. Dan Borton is awesome. And so Michelle and I, that's my girl, and she actually learned how to whip on her own. So when we met, it was like, we didn't even know for like 4 years that either one of us knew how to do that. So it was kind of funny when it sort of just came out. So anyway, we took Dan's class, and I was just like, I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything. And he just did all this stuff I'd never seen. And then he picked up 2 whips.
Oh, okay.
And
I was going to ask, like what?
Yeah, and my mind was just blown. I was just like, you could do 2 whips? Oh my gosh. So what did I do for the next month is take my 2 10-foot Indies out and try to do.
Oh.
I don't recommend that. I really
You took the next month to recover.
Yeah. So after beating myself up over that, I realized, okay, so I got a couple of Christopher strain, that's Joe's brother, a couple of 7-footers, and that was a little easier. And then we got lucky on the tail end of Mike Murphy right before he got out of the picture. I don't know if you know who he is, Australian whip maker.
I've heard of him.
He's so I got a pair of 7-foots and 6.5 foots from him right before he got out of the business, and they were great. And I learned a lot on those things. And I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, no, this is exactly what I was asking.
Oh,
And like, so I mean,
yeah,
let's pause on the 7 foots for a second. I mean,
yeah.
that sounds like a major change in what you had ever done. Was that your first shorter whips, first stock whips?
Uh, yeah, I would say yeah, I didn't get stock whips yet. These were just bull whips.
Oh,
So
those were bull whips. Okay.
those are bull whips. Yeah, I still hadn't done anything with stock whips. I think I started getting the handle of the bull whips, and then I think Paul Nolan and Lauren at that time when she was working for the company, she started making hybrids. And
Okay.
so I got a pair of hybrids, and that's when I was like, oh, so if they're light and short, you could do like way more stuff.
Exactly.
And I went hog wild on that for a long time. So yeah, I just kept
Wow.
trying to learn stuff and do things. And at some point, I also got this really, I think it was like a 6.5 foot or 7 foot Terry Jacka, and the transition went a little far out, very, very heavy. And I was trying to do, I was finally looking at videos online because, oh, hey, internet.
Right.
And there weren't a lot out there. Adam had some stuff and a few people here and there, but it wasn't a lot. So I was looking at Adam's stuff, trying to figure a couple things out, and yeah, I couldn't do it, man. I was just like losing my mind. I'm like, I can't. What? And I got mad, and I did this underhand. I just did it really hard. It was like an underhand flick, and I just let go, and it spun around, and I caught it, and I was just like, holy shit. That is the best thing I have ever seen or done in my life. And that was it. I just said, I'm just going to do that. And so
So
that's it.
that's how it started.
That's how it started. So
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
I just couldn't stop. And what's good and bad about that is I got really good at, I think, my style and coming up with stuff that wasn't the norm, because I wasn't learning stuff from Australians or from, I mean, I was learning some basic stuff, Queensland crossover, like Paul was helping me with that.
Four
Adams
corners.
helped me with
Yeah.
different things. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, a lot of basic stuff. But as I've been finding out now, like there's a lot of stuff I don't know that are simple things that my muscle memory is not used to.
Oh, okay.
So when I try to do something, yeah, it's like, oh crap, why, like, why can't I get that to work? It should be simple, but I've been doing my thing so long, it's hard to, sort of switch gears and
Sure,
and
sure.
go, oh, I got to start doing some of this stuff, and then try to maybe put some of my style into it or whatever. But yeah, so
Right. I'm hoping that Justin's group, I don't know if you've seen, he started a whip cracking 101 kind of a beginner's group
yes,
with monthly
yes,
challenges. And I just submitted my video the other day. But
I saw it.
thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you
Nice.
commented on it. Thank you very much.
Yes, very
Um,
nice.
but like I was noticing that, I mean, like I'm doing the same exact routine that everyone else is, and there's such different styles between the
Yeah.
people. I personally, someone actually commented that I looked kind of stiff or the jacket was too tight. I'm like, no, I'm just stiff and fat. But
Oh, come
but I
on
mean,
now. Give yourself some credit.
well, thanks. But it just
Yeah.
shows that I can practice more with a specific one-to-one comparison. But
Yes.
also, just with this month's routine, I had never done a reverse wrap.
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
why. I just had never done one.
That,
Never
and
occurred to me.
that's okay. I mean, there's certain tricks that I still am not, like Singleton Special. I'm not great at those. I could do them, but I really haven't nailed them down or practiced them enough. And I think that's what's so great about these
Yeah.
challenges, I think. And I'm glad that they're doing that, because like you just said, you're like, shit, I never tried
And it
that.
felt really
Like,
weird.
it's a new thing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you're saying, it's just you don't have that muscle
Yeah.
memory.
You're not used to it. So I, it's just brilliant. And if you talk to Paul, he'll tell you like the very beginning when the first guy came over and did Queensland crossover. I think Mike Murphy came over and was in a competition and did that. And everyone was like, what? Like, if you could even hold 2 whips in each hand, everyone was like blown away. But this guy was doing some crazy cool stuff. So it's come such a long way. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's cool. It's stacking and stacking and stacking, and just more people and more people. But yeah, I mean, and just you doing this is going to get more
I hope
people
so.
into it. And yeah, I really like this, and this is a really nice thing that you're doing. I hope
Well,
you
thanks.
keep doing it.
I plan on it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I mean, you were saying that if you feel like it's growing, I mean, do you feel like it's growing? You don't feel like it's shrinking?
Not,
The whip
not at
community
all.
whip?
Not
Okay.
at all. I really think it's growing. It's really, even from our first little competition, it's just it's interesting because I want to say, like, the first show seemed like, I want to say, like around 100 people or something, and the second show seemed to get a little bit bigger, and then the third show it was like even people that weren't whip crackers but kind of did a little bit of that, like a lot of circus people and flow artists, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just everybody showed up, and it was just like, holy cannoli, like, it was like, it was almost like too many people, but I didn't feel like the love for the whips were there as much as the core group who have been there the first
Sure.
couple of years. And that's fine. But then I think the fourth year or something, it was like, oh, we kind of settled, and it was like, okay, here are the people that are serious and they really love this, and that,
Right.
and that community is growing. Like, like, just, I don't know, just what was it, 2000, was it? Oh no, it was 2020 was the last one, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't it?
we
Yeah,
missed
because
this
it was
year's, but it
early
was
in January.
right.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I mean, I keep meeting people that I'm just clicking with and connecting with, and learning so
yeah.
much from, like, upcomers. I'm learning from Tori. I'm learning from Justin. I'm always open to learn new stuff, and it's just awesome,
I guess the way it's spreading too. I mean, even with how you got started with indie,
Mm.
and now we've had Aquaman with whips, right? So
Uh,
we
did Aquaman?
no,
I
no,
don't
he didn't have
remember.
it, but
Oh,
Momoa did. Jason,
oh, you're talking about
yeah,
C? Yeah.
right. See,
Oh
so
man.
the if you guys don't know, Jason Momoa, star of the show C, was trained by Mr. Todd Rex here.
That's
That's
right. Very, very lucky to have had that gig, and I have to thank Adam
yeah,
for that. He was in the middle of a project, yes, when Paradox, this guy who's a movement coach on the show and really helped with a lot of stuff, and he knows a little bit of whip cracking too, so he sort of helped do a little bit of basic training as well, and come up with some interesting stuff for the show. But anyway, he had called Adam because Adam had given him lessons before, and he was like, hey, I'm doing this show, do you think you can help out? And he's like, he was busy doing his shows.
sure.
So he said, well, there's a guy in Hollywood that lives really close to you that might be good for this. And so he called me, and we met in the park, and he had me do all this weird stuff because in C, nobody can see. They're all blind.
Right.
Or seeing impaired, I believe is what they like. But it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, going to Canada for a couple of weeks and working with all kinds of background people, actors, actresses, stunt people. The stunt people specifically, like Michelle Smith, I don't know if you know who she is. She does a lot of like staff spinning, two stick spinning, sword spinning. The best, period, end of story, I've ever seen anyone do that stuff. If you watch two of her videos, and I keep saying this, she's a real superhero. I've never
Wow.
seen anyone with moves that can consistently do that stuff. I met her and I showed her a couple of whip things. I showed her you can throw them and catch them, and she's like, oh, that's just like the staff move. And then she did the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, you got to teach me how to do that, So yeah, I mean, that experience, it was like I was working outside next to the production building in Vancouver, and that was my studio basically for most of it. We did have to come inside at some point because it started raining, but yeah, it was like 7 to 7 every day, just whipping my brains out, teaching people stuff, learning things, trying to come up with moves and attacks and little scenes. And
Yeah.
on the second to last day, I got to work with Kim. Kim Fardy is Jason Momoa's stunt person,
Okay.
his stunt double. Super great guy. And so I worked with him on a scene we were doing where a bear was supposed to be attacking his kids, and he has to sort of run at the bear and crack the whip, do a roll, do a slide. You know, I was coming up with all these moves, which I think for me it worked out great because I'm used to doing stunt stuff. So I know a lot of other whip people. I just don't know if anyone would have fit as well as I did. I'm not even trying to like toot my own horn, but I just was like, this is like
Sure.
perfect for me, you know, like,
Right.
so, so he would be, you know, Kim would be like, hey, he likes to slide on his left side. He likes to roll on his right shoulder. Like, so then I could incorporate what works for Jason
Oh, wow.
and then work with him too. So I worked with him a couple days actually. And then Jason came in and he's the nicest guy. Like he
That's cool.
is exactly what you think he is. He's just genuinely nice guy, works his butt off. Like, so, I don't know if you saw one of my last videos where I had to make these silent poppers so
I
that they
did,
wouldn't
yeah.
make any noise. I had to come up with that because we started training the stunt studio was like a warehouse split in half where they had like a nice bouncy floor where they were doing all the stunt fights and stuff, and then the other side, which was just normal floor, but we were doing the whips over there. But of course, whips are so loud,
Oh,
and
my.
in a warehouse, it's just like, you know, I was training for like 2 minutes and the stunt coordinator comes over. He's like, no. He's like, no, we can't. I'm sorry, we can't have this going on. I said, okay, fair enough. So I went to the art department and looked around and found some cotton cord and cut it up, and it worked great. So then, yeah, I got to work with Jason. He learns fast. He learns really, really
That's cool.
fast. Picks stuff up. And just genuinely, like I said, he's just a really sweet guy. So I'd work with him for like an hour doing stuff, and he'd be like, "Oh, I got to run over." And he'd run right next door, do stunt stuff for like 3 hours, come back to me for a couple hours, go back to them, like no breaks, just
Oh, my goodness.
run. Like, yeah. And even, you know, he like, "Oh, can I take a picture with you?" "Oh, of course." You know, he like grabbed a couple pictures, and he wanted to know what whips I was using that I liked. And I mentioned Simon Martin, and he was like, "Oh, you got to get me a pair." And I'm like, well, you know, Simon doesn't like to let people jump in line and that kind of thing. So you might have to wait a year. And he's like, "Here, take a picture with me and the whips and then send it to him." And, you know, but actually there was a dropped order or something. So actually Jason did get him whips and a couple other people on the set. But
Nice.
it was such an amazing experience. Everybody there was just great. And my friend Joe, who is overseeing the thing, and he's visually impaired, he is completely blind. And I taught him how to do different weaves and cracks, like, and he is so great. Like, that guy was cracking me up. He was like one of the best things in the show. But I taught him how to crack whips. I taught him how to do sort of I forget what you call it, the changing lead hands kind of thing, but in a more open sense. But he was picking it up, and it's so interesting if you think about it. How do I show somebody something that can't see it? So you have to like get them to feel, okay, this hand is going to go there, and in this, and like it's a whole different way of doing it, which is, it's crazy.
Do you feel like they learn differently as well? Because I know I've been told to feel more about, like, feel the weight, so try and imagine where it is in the air and things like that, versus trying to watch it around.
Yeah, well, I mean, in fact, I think some of the things he picks up faster than people with sight, just because of that, because he's like, oh, I can feel where that's going, because he's more in tune to that.
Right.
And it was funny, when I met him, I didn't know he was on the show. I didn't know who he was. And I was in the lobby of the hotel the first morning. I was supposed to go to set really early. And he comes in, and he's got his stick, and he's holding, I forget what you call the thing, but he's got coffee and food. And he walks into the lobby, and I said, hey, how's it going? I'm guessing you're working on the show C that I'm working on. He's like, oh yeah, you must be Todd. Here, I got you a coffee and here's some food. And like, it was just
Wow.
like, oh, it was awesome, man. So every morning he'd hold the door for me and we'd walk down to Starbucks
Wow, that's
and
cool.
get some food. Yeah. But sorry,
No,
I can go
that's
on with lots of
awesome.
stories.
I know that I love that because I mean,
Yeah.
number one, it's a part of the world. I mean, your business in Hollywood and all, it's so foreign to me, and outside of Hollywood, it's a whole different world. But also, I love how much it's bringing the whip community into mainstream.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was what I think was really wonderful about C. I mean, wonderful about Indie,
Yeah.
of course, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, uh, I believe Jason Momoa last minute said, "Hey, everyone's got whips around here. I don't want to do whips. I want to do this big metal thing," which I think was a good choice because it made him stand out. But you know, in the end, like almost all the whip stuff got cut, and
oh, that's sad.
I was almost supposed to be in it doing some whip stuff, but they didn't have enough money to bring me into SAG as an actor to
Gotcha.
do that. So I kind of, but there is a little bit. There's still some in
Oh,
there.
absolutely.
Not as, you know, not as much as I would, of course, like. But that, and I don't know if you know, but that job, basically, Jason was on the Late Show with James Corden, I
Yes,
think.
that's a great clip too.
Yeah, and so he called Paradox to get my information to give to production because they were doing like this little man segment where they were doing arrow shooting and motorcycle riding, and he wanted to do whip cracking. So he personally asked for me, which is like, oh crap! I don't even know if he knows my name. He's just like, hey, there's the whip master, you know. So, but
That's
so
awesome.
I came in, set up a bunch of stuff for them, and Corden was great. They were both hilarious. And we just went over, oh, we're going to cut this and do this and do that. And James was like, no, don't show me how to do any of this. It'll be funnier if I don't know how to whip. And Jason will teach me. And I was like, all right. And so they just did their thing, and it was hilarious.
Right, he pulled out
It
the
was really
little
cool.
snapper or something.
Yeah. Actually, it was,
Or
I think it was Johnny
oh, it
Ogden,
was one of Johnny's.
or it was one of Johnny's, yes.
Ah,
And
cool.
so he was super happy to see that. He was like, oh, because I ordered a pair and I brought them with me. Yeah, but and the other thing that I should mention is when I was on that show, here's the thing with productions, TV and movies and whatnot, that is very frustrating for someone who does whip stuff more so than normal stunt people, or you know, productions, they don't know what a good whip is. And a stunt guy, you can hand him anything and he'll be like, okay, it's a whip, I'll make it work, and they will. Like that's they're good at. But when you want something a little, you know, a better balance, you want a better made whip,
Yeah.
you want something like, because they had like costume whips and they had things that props made, but they don't work like whips because there's no weight to them. The balance is off. It's not, you know, it
Yeah.
looks cool, but it just doesn't work. So I was like, listen, we need to get like 10 whips in here, like different sizes, so that, you know, I can work with them. And the props guy was awesome. He's like, whatever you want. So I called up Blake Brunning, and
Yeah.
that guy,
He's a
I
machine.
got to thank you, Blake. Yes, and I think Steve Townsend, and I think Nick, uh, and I think there's someone else I might be forgetting, and I'm sorry if I did, but like everyone jumped in to help him. He actually did not go to a family vacation that he'd been planning for a long time. Like he literally stayed home and did this. And then like 2 weeks later, they needed
Oh
more
my
whips. So it was more whips.
God.
And by the way, this was like a week. It was like 10 days or something
Like a whip a
to get,
day.
you know, 10 whips. And then I asked for 12 whips, and he got them done in like 8 days or so, or
Oh
nine
my
days or something. Like,
God.
like, oh my gosh. Like, so yeah, and like I said, that's the thing with productions. They don't really know what a whip is or what it costs, and they just, you know, they're like, oh well, we went down to Thrifties and we found this costume whip, and that's good, right? It's like, no.
No, not so much.
and, and actually, from that project, one of the producers, someone who really liked me, put my name in to stand in for another whip guy who couldn't be there, so I could supervise for the Underground Railroad. And that was
Yeah.
amazing too. Like everybody on that production, and we actually went to a plantation where this kind of stuff really happened, and it was overwhelming.
Oh,
Like it was crazy. Like, but the production, the director, everybody was like, hey, they had a therapist come in and say, if anyone wants to talk about how they're feeling, or if there's any issue,
sure.
if you don't want to do something, you don't have to. I was there for safety. I wanted to make sure no one, of course, ever got hurt or hit, and I just made sure everything was safe. Everybody there was just wonderful to work with, and it was kind of an amazing thing, and I learned a lot about a lot of different things I didn't know, and I wouldn't change it for the world, and I hope I get more gigs where I get to work with wonderful people like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And I mean, for your success, but also for just continuing to have new kids out there have that. I need a whip. I need to. Yeah, that's just kind of where that love comes from. I mean, that's where I first saw whips was Indy, and
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
my brother
Zorro
was
too. I
really,
actually used to love.
yeah.
I don't know if you watched the old Zorro, the black and white Zorros. I used to love those.
No, but I saw the
You saw
Antonio
that?
Banderas ones
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff. Yeah,
Those are awesome. Yeah.
right.
Very cool.
All super awesome. So I do want to talk a little bit more about the WhipCon too.
Of course.
We're out
Sorry,
a
I
little bit
just.
from that. No, there's no apologies needed. And then this
Yeah.
is what it's about. We're just
Yeah.
hanging out, and somewhere in between here we would have ordered a beer a couple of times, and
That's
we're
true.
just hanging out, right?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
but so I mean, you took first place, like we were talking about.
Yes.
You had a pretty elaborate routine, and I want to
Yes.
go back to that.
Okay.
I mean, you started with a toss, or pretty close to the beginning. You had a high toss that you caught behind your back, and you did a pretty elaborate set of cracks. Was that very specifically choreographed, or you have?
And it's funny because I am awful at making routines. I hate routines. I like to freeform as I
Mhm.
go, but what I do is I have a couple of tricks in mind and things I want to do, but I don't necessarily say I'm going to do this first and then that and then this or whatever. The beginning toss where I throw it, I do a front roll and then I catch it and I start going. I definitely wanted to do that. And then I think because I was recording myself so much, I thought, oh, I should do one at the end. I have to time it just right. So then I had to buy this little red timer so I could see, because I couldn't see
Oh,
my
out in the sun,
phone. So I got this little,
yeah.
so I got this little red timer so I could count down, and then I would know, oh, I have to finish before that thing goes off, that kind of thing. So I mean, that was kind of one of the goals, was like I just came up with it as I was kind of screwing around. I wanted to put four corners in. I wanted to get a four corners toss in there. And then I just wanted to do a bunch of stuff that whatchamacallit, arrowheads and, all kinds of different, whatever I can throw in there, and then just my normal tosses whenever I can.
Yeah. Which I love. I mean, it was
Thank
so
you.
impressive. And I love all the variety that you keep coming up with of them too, all the different tosses. It's
And it's so funny. Like I usually figure out a new toss just by accidentally, like I'm trying to do a toss in a certain spot and then I accidentally do the wrong thing, and I catch it, and then I'm like, wait, what did I, and I'm usually always videotaping myself, which I think is important to at least do a little bit when you practice, because it really helps to see yourself. Also, if you have like a window or something you can practice in front of, it actually really helps to see your form, to be like, oh, why am I, leaning that way, or my head's, it just sort of, it's very helpful to do it that way.
okay. That's really helpful. I know that different people were talking about different ways that they were choreographing more or less structured before their routines, and I mean, obviously your method was quite successful. So,
Well, you also didn't see all the
well, that's
takes where I was getting
also true.
extremely upset and angry. So I
Yeah,
am human. I still,
sure.
I still do the thing where you accidentally step on the fall and then smack yourself in the head. Oh
I think we've all done
man.
that a time or two.
And it's
Oh,
usually when you're already mad.
right,
So,
of course. And then of course the guy walking
yeah.
behind you. That was amazing too.
It's LA, man. No one wants to, their world is their world. No one wants to look at your world unless they're calling the cops on you or they're pissed or
Right.
upset. Other than that, they pretty much leave you alone.
I mean, even on my
Uh,
submission, my neighbor walked out of her house carrying a bag of trash and just walked around the side, and I and I didn't even realize
Now,
it
is
till
she is
later.
she is she used
Oh
to
yeah,
seeing you do that? Because she probably, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
But she comes out and talks to me from time to time. I've never not got her to pick up the whip yet,
yeah,
but she'll stand there and watch and we chat.
yeah.
But so yeah, it's I try not to crack very loud toward her house, but we've got the empty lot between us.
Oh,
So
very nice.
well, that's really awesome. Where do you think this this sort of thing is going to go? This competition, the WhipCon in general, obviously was quite successful virtually this year.
Yeah,
Next year, we hope to be in person.
yeah.
Did you like this year? How
You know what? There's something I really love about it and something I really don't love about it, and it's the same thing. It's uh, the fact that, like, if you're live, you
hmm,
practice, and then you freak out, and then you get up in front of everybody, and you either do it or you don't. I've messed up. I've dropped things. I don't. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes you flub cracks, and but the good thing about live is you do it once
yeah,
and you're done.
that's true, right?
And it's just like, ah. But
And
when
it's
you're
done.
videotaping, with me, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm usually going for a vibe, or like, hey, that felt like me. That was fun and energetic, and
Sure.
like there's something about it that worked. And I'm not walking away all angry. Like, and a lot of my takes were angry and dropping, and I was in a bad place in my head.
Sure.
But yeah, and but then I wouldn't have got that take if I didn't go out and put that time in either.
True.
So,
True.
and
Do,
actually
do you have a lot of
talking,
nerves? Oh, sorry.
oh, oh my gosh. Oh, I do not like competition. Just so you know, I hate it. I really don't like it. The first year, I thought it was just going to be like, Adam was like, hey, we can have a little thing, get together, whatever. And then he's like, yeah, we're going to do, 1 minute freestyle, one hand, and 1 minute, two whip, whatever. And I freaked out. Like,
Oh no.
8 months before the show, I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I started trying to come up with a whip toss routine that there was no way I was going to be able to do. Like, and I beat myself up for months on it, trying. I'm gonna suck. And then, like, 2 weeks before, I'm like, what am I doing? This is not why I whip crack. I love it. It's
Yeah, it
fun.
is.
Like, stop trying to do this to yourself. Go to the show and just do what you love. Stop worrying about it, thinking about it. Just do whatever happens. Just do whatever comes to you. And that's what I did. That's what I've been doing pretty much since
Beautiful
then.
though.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. They get freaked out, and it's, oh man, and you could feel it. That first couple of shows we had, everybody was like, just like stiff and scared, and like and over the years it gets a little easier and a little easier. So, but I was going to say, talking to Adam, I think he might do both. I think he's thinking
Yeah.
about doing the videos again, but then also having a live show, so they're separate,
Right.
sort of thing,
Yeah,
under the
he mentioned
same.
something similar to me.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. I think that's a really good idea.
Especially with the performance category where you have the dramatic videos and the lighting and edits and stuff. That's a very different type of presentation,
That's true.
and
Yeah, it's
different
very
even from
artistic.
an artistic routine like you would watch Aaron Bonk do on stage or Adam at a Ren Fair.
Yeah,
That's a different one even beyond these other three.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm
it's
looking
very
forward to
true.
see what other um, animation majors have or something else.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a background in making videos and being artistic, like, yeah, like Aaron's come up with a lot of really funny, great stuff that I love, and Justin's video was awesome and funny, and I forget, I'm really bad. The guy that won the video, like that was really, you could
Will
tell like that guy is a filmmaker.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes, Will. He did a wonderful, wonderful job on that, you know. It was just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, it really was. And it's a head and shoulders above everyone else. And everyone else
Yeah.
was just incredible too.
Yeah.
So it says a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
uh,
yeah.
it's amazing.
So you love and hate it, huh?
Yeah,
The
you know, like I said, it competition, I like it because it gets you all riled up, and it's like that show Catfish. It gets you doing stuff you probably wouldn't do. Gets you just, it, I don't know. I think it's good because when you're done, you're like, oh, I'm glad I did that. You know what I mean?
you know, Catfish is one show I'm glad did not have bullwhips in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Oh my
But
goodness. Well, this
yeah,
has really been fun, and I
yes.
hope everyone goes out and checks out your Instagram and your YouTube. Is there any other website or anything else that would be
Uh,
worthy of them going
no,
to check out?
I mean, I am on TikTok as well.
Okay.
Just started that. That's been interesting. That's a very different platform.
It is.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to. I've recently been watching that a little bit more. I saw Adams on there quite a bit. He's had a few go kind of viral,
Oh wow.
and like in the Middle East, which was really
Oh
strange.
yeah, it's
And
bizarre where those videos go.
right, and then my friend Keith Smith, a lot of his
Oh yeah,
crazy
yeah.
targeting stuff. He's been
He's
on there as
incredible.
well. Yeah, he really
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
I'm blown away by some of the stuff he does. I did want to mention one
yeah.
thing. I'm actually the guy that makes these,
Of
the medals,
course, yes. Oh,
and
that's
they're going
gorgeous.
to be a little late this year. I don't, so because of COVID, I don't have a shop to work in, so I have to work at home, and I can only work outside, and I don't have all of the stuff I need like I would in a shop. So it's going to
Okay.
take hopefully 2-3 weeks. I might be able to get something done. Then I have to contact my buddy Gordon Tarpley so he can coat these or paint them. That's why they're so shiny the last couple of years.
Ah,
He also does like C3PO suits and like all kinds of
whoa.
like awesome costume stuff. But so that's why these medals are going to take a little bit of time, but I will get them done. I will send them out to the people who won them. We got gold, silver, and bronze, I believe. So
Awesome. No,
definitely
that's
will
super
be there.
exciting. I mean, I don't know if you have a minute to kind of nerd out about how you do that. I would love to know more
Oh,
about your sculpting career.
oh
If
yeah,
in,
yeah.
I know this is a whip
Mhm.
cracking and stuff contest, but I mean, I made
Yeah.
most of those behind me. I'm a
Oh,
DIYer
nice.
myself.
Very
Can you,
cool.
not that you're a hobbyist, you're a professional, certainly. So
I'm
do
a
you like
hobbyist
sculpt
too,
it
though.
from clay and then you cast it, or what is your process? Like how would,
Like say for
yeah.
this is the new medal. This is just a test cast. I have to do 3 of these, and then I clean up any problems with them. I line them up, remold them, so that now I can cast up 3 at a time because it would take too long to keep just doing 1 at a time. So it's
Okay.
easier to do that. But yeah, originally I had just a metal blank disc and I put clay on it and I sculpted, you know, the little kangaroo with sunglasses and the little whip. And then I just bought little
Ah,
tiny letters and numbers that I could stick on. So
okay.
every year I have to sand off the last number and put put a new number on and then remold everything again, which gets maddening because I have to do it every year. But yeah, that's how I do those. But just in general, like I usually use like a plastilina or a
Okay.
Chavant medium. Most of the time for effect shops and stuff like that. Like with the Swamp Thing, I used Chavant medium, and I just do the sculpting. So for a lot of the effect shops, I only do sculpting, and then I hand it off to the guys who are going to mold it. And then the other guy, there's another group that casts them, and then one that does the foam casting and then the painting and the finishing,
Wow.
and then you give it to the makeup people who apply it.
Oh
So
my goodness.
it's, everyone's like, oh, you did that. It's like, no, me and about 100 people did that. So, and hey, and by the way, and I do this sometimes, but if COVID ever settles down and you're in town, I can take you on a little tour of one of the shops I work at.
Absolutely. I'll
Fractured
take you up
Effects,
on
yeah.
that.
And I've taken Dan Borton and Emmy and Katie there, and Adam and Dakota and a couple other people. Like when I get a chance, I try to, hey, you want to check this
Wow.
out? Like, yeah,
That's awesome.
But
Yeah, that would be really cool to see. And
yeah, definitely.
it's like I said, it's so far out of my normal daily life. It would be really cool to see all that. And you're super talented.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely, everyone go check out his Instagram. You've got like your Swamp Thing, for example.
I think
You and 100
that's
other
on there
people.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty sure it
should
is.
post more stuff. I don't always remember to do that, but
Yeah, I enjoy seeing it. I mean, your whip stuff is
thank
incredible too, and please
Thank
continue.
you.
Don't slow that down. Just more of the other also.
More of both. Okay.
More of both. Yes.
Maybe I should do a separate Instagram for just the art stuff. I don't know.
Sure. Why not? Well, thank you very much. I've kept you almost an hour. Thank you. I really appreciate your time, and I'll probably be bugging you on how to do gainer tosses or something.
Yeah, in fact, my buddies have been sort of bothering me to do how-tos because I think they're going to do how-tos, and I'd rather do it.
Okay.
I've been teaching a class every
That's
year
right, at the
convention
WhipCon
as well.
Yeah.
And people say that it does help a lot, especially in person, because you can tweak things that you wouldn't be able to know just by watching a video. But yeah, hopefully I'll start putting out some how-tos on gainer tosses, elbow tosses, like different stuff like that. So
yeah, I would love that.
Awesome.
And don't give Justin ideas for our 101. That sounds difficult, or maybe not. I don't know.
I'm sure he'll throw something in there eventually.
Yeah, he has a lot of really cool contact stuff in his.
In fact, I got to get on that. I haven't even tried that yet. The challenge, I got to do something.
Yeah, you only have 28 more days, so.
I know, and I'm gonna wait till that last day.
I think you'll be able to handle it, to say the least. Well, thank you again, Todd. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right.